Let's get to our big story of the day involving sports, news, and business, and it involves the National Football League. The Justice Department has opened up an investigation into the NFL, which accuses the league of engaging in anti-competitive tactics that have harmed consumers. Mike Lee, he's a senator, wrote in a letter to the DOJ and Federal Trade Commission that fans would have to spend almost $1,000 to watch every game last season through cable and streaming. This was, of course, over the air for as long as we can remember, but with streaming over the last 5 to 10 years and games appearing on Peacock and Prime and everywhere else, it costs a lot of money. Not to mention the NFL's Red Zone channel has gone up hundreds and hundreds of dollars to the point where I got out and stopped paying for the Red Zone. So we'll see if anything happens with this, but it does seem to me that the NFL will just look at this and move on, pay some money and move on. All right, as I mentioned, the Masters underway. How about Rory McIlroy? He leads the field right now, 5 under par, hasn't teed off yet today. Sam Burns was the big story yesterday as well. He's also 5 under par. So that's where we stand. Kurt Kitayama, 3 under. Jason Day, 3 under as well. Patrick Reed is also among the leaders. And as far as today is concerned, really none of the leaders have teed off except Wyndham Clark is now 2 under par, so we'll add him to the leaderboard. He's through 14. He teed off in the morning. He is having one of the best days, at least this morning, on the course. So we'll have an update coming for you in about 30 minutes from now on the Masters, which of course you can stream on their app or just simply put, stick with us. We'll give you everything that's going on throughout the day. Meanwhile, a round 1 performance for Rory Mac, trying to win back-to-back Masters and having the lead. And here is his discussion yesterday with reporters after the day was done.
Yeah, I think the first 7 holes were really important. The fact that I played those 7 in even par, I felt like that was a pretty good result from some of the places I found myself. And then I started to string some good swings together for the last 11 holes. But I relied on my experience, my short game, to keep me in the round, and then just trusted that at some point I'm going to hit some good shots and give myself some birdie chances, which I did. And I took advantage of those.
All right, so Rory McIlroy back at it on the course coming up in about an hour from now. Meanwhile, Joel Embiid's status for the rest of the regular season and even maybe the postseason in doubt. He had surgery for appendicitis. Not sure when he would clear, but it does appear as though the Philadelphia 76ers could be without him for whatever playoff games they end up playing starting next weekend. Meanwhile, the Knicks beat the Celtics 112-106. It appears as though Jason Tatum's return was not successful to Madison Square Garden. He had 24 points last night. Jalen Brunson had 25. The Knicks now only trail the Celtics by 2 games for the number 2 seed in the East. There are 2 games to go, and it would seem like the Knicks have a shot at this. Here's Mike Brown on the direction the team is headed.
We're heading in the direction of being where we need to be. I like the climb that we've made the last week or so, the last 3 to 4 games, and we got a couple more games to get there. And for us, we'll take it 1 game at a time. But we got these 2 left. We'd like to win both of them. What does that mean? I don't know. We'll see at the end of the day. But when we lace them up, we're playing to win.
Relief now that this game is under your belt?
Yeah, absolutely. This is it was a big moment, big hurdle for me. I was nervous and anxious to come back here. Obviously I wanted to win and play great, but more importantly, I just kind of wanted to walk off the court, on my own 2 feet.
Did you feel nerves once you stepped on the floor or once the game started?
Yeah. I was, especially to start the game.
Spot where Tatum got hurt a year ago, now back on the court, seemingly feels fine. How about the hottest team in the West headed toward the NBA playoffs? It's the Houston Rockets. They beat the Sixers 113-102. Kevin Durant had 29 points in the win. As Durant seems to be saying after every game, it is game by game as they head toward the playoffs.
We definitely can be better in a lot of areas. Bad fourth quarter, but Philly played a desperate style of ball there, and we scored when we needed to. So yeah, I like the stretch that we're on. I like the process that we're going through. Feels more sustainable. And we're just executing a little better, So we getting to know each other even more. I know it's the end of the season, but that continuity is always building, that chemistry is always building. So, yeah, I like what we are.
Raptors sweep the season series with the Miami Heat, final 128-114. Toronto wins and covers as 4.5-point favorites. It was Brandon Ingram with one of his biggest games of the season. He had 38 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists. But on the flip side, you've got the Miami Heat absolutely slumping toward the end of the season. They're headed for the play-in game and a potential 10 seed in the NBA. Here's Eric Spoelstra on what has gone wrong.
That's sobering. It's definitely humbling. I don't have the answers right now. We are searching. We went through everything yesterday, had a productive shoot around today, but we were just outclassed again. It was again in the first half. It was probably just going to be a back and forth game, but it was a special team stuff again. The 19 second chance, the 13 off turnovers versus their pressure, just coughing it up. Every time we coughed it up, it led to a 3 or an easy basket, and then we just could not rebound the basketball. That was 31 relief points, and then they just carried that on. Even though we made a big run, to get it to 9 or whatever it was, they were in control.
Miami season could end as early as next week. LeBron, meanwhile, hoping to get his team out of that play-in area and get some more wins toward the playoffs. 119-103. Los Angeles beats Golden State. Luka, still no word on when he'll be back. And the Bulls played the Wizards last night. The Wizards have giveaways going on at home and road, meaning they're giving away wins. They've now lost 24 out of 25 games, one of the worst games in the seasons in the history of the NBA. 17-63. That is bad. Trey Jones had 31 points for Chicago. In baseball last night, the Padres beat the Rockies 7-3 as home favorites, and they end up winning, even though Brenton Doyle hit a home run for the Rockies in this one yesterday. The Diamondbacks win their series against the Mets. 7-1 the final there. Eduardo Rodriguez off to a great start this season. 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. And Gabby Marino had 2 for 2 day for Arizona as well. And how about the A's? This was a shocker yesterday. The A's shut out the Yankees 1-0. Jeffrey Springs took a no-hitter into the 7th inning. Brent Rooker left this game for the A's. Hope he's okay, but it looks like he could possibly be out for a period of time. Twins beat the Tigers. The Tigers have lost 5 games in a row. Wow. Twins win as home dogs. They win all of their games seemingly as dogs, but are having a good start to their year. And the Marlins capped off their 4-game series with the Reds with an 8-1 win yesterday. Owen Casey went 3 for 4 with 3 runs driven in. And my buddy Max Meyer threw 5 innings and gave up 1 earned run. He picks up the win for Miami. I may hit it at the end with him. Welcome back to Newswire here on Sports Grid. I'm Craig Mish. It's time to check in with Sam McQuillan from Legal Sports Report as we dive into the latest in sports betting. You could read all about his columns and everything that else we discuss here at LegalSportsReport.com. Sam, thanks for coming on the show. Hope you're having a great end to your week, and not a great end to the week in the state of Ohio. I think a lot of folks are wondering, were we trying to put the genie back in the bottle, so to speak? They got sports betting legal in Ohio, and now all of a sudden, it feels like with everything that happened with the Cleveland Guardians, by the way, is leading to this, but the state of Ohio may want to stop having online sports betting after having it legalized after all this time. What's going on here?
Yeah, Craig, you had just this week 3 Republican lawmakers in Ohio unveiled what they're calling the Save Ohio Sports Act. They had a press conference, which had a lot of fanfare and really has been talked a lot about in the industry, popping up in headlines. Not only do they want to get rid of online sports betting and limit it to casinos, they want to get rid of all player props, all live betting, all parlays, college betting, and then limit bettors to $100 per day and 8 bets within 24 hours. So obviously very unfavorable terms for the industry here. It comes, you mentioned the Cleveland Guardians case with the alleged, manipulating pitches to profit from micro bets. We saw the MLB come out with reform there and changing the kind of bets you can place on legal sports books. But the lawmakers have been pretty vocal about, the benefits of the industry in terms of taxes, not outweighing what they're calling, a mental health risk, an impact on problem gambling in the state of Ohio. They've talked about calls to the Ohio gambling hotline doubling, or more than doubling rather, since Ohio legalized sports betting back in 2023. Governor Mike DeWine has called it his biggest regret as governor. He's doubled the tax rate on sports betting. He's tried to double it again. But this really comes as, the sports betting industry itself faces, like you mentioned, this potential blowback, potential putting the genie back in the bottle with sports betting. Now, I don't think this measure really has any chance of passing. I think that's kind of the important thing to talk about here. But the fact that we are seeing now multiple states propose, not just prop bet bans, but getting rid of online sports betting altogether really shows kind of the pushback that the industry is facing right now, and kind of the crisis it has to make sure in the public spotlight that it's being viewed accurately, and that it's working with lawmakers on, common sense proposals, like we've seen in a bunch of other states. I'll note as well, we talked about earlier this week, Louisiana having a similar prop bet ban proposal, getting rid of it once they realized how much money they were going to lose in the state, but more so how much it was just going to kind of move all of the potentially problematic bets that they're talking about here offshore or to prediction markets and places where the states really can't interact. So again, I don't really think this will go anywhere in the state, but it is notable considering, like you mentioned, it's a state where the Cleveland Guardians case happened. Yeah. And it's also, the governor has been very vocal about regretting legalizing sports betting. Plus, Ohio is a really big state. So it's not great to see this kind of thing pop up. We'll see how that matriculates into headlines or laws down the road. Definitely not in Ohio right now.
All right. We lost Sam there for a second. Looks like we got him back. So let's focus on our next topic here, which is Polymarket and some of the prediction markets like Kalshi as well, who have offered different war bets, meaning you can place predictions on the outcomes of war and even the fate of U.S. service members. I got to tell you, Sam, I was stunned to see that this was even offered by some of the prediction markets. So I'm hoping they do put an end to this one. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that, Craig. I think that's kind of what everyone, especially in Congress, is saying right now with these offshore prediction markets specifically. I think it's important to note that Kalshi is a CFTC registered exchange, despite people contending what it's doing being legal or sports betting subject to state control. It is something that is really only offered for prediction markets in Polymarket.
All right, Sam. Sam, we love you, man, but the internet today is not your friend, unfortunately. And Sam will be back with us on Monday's edition of the show, but we appreciate his participation, of course. Basically, what Sam was getting into is the idea that right now these prediction markets are offering things tied and related to war and death, and they sort of feel like, at least the CFTC may feel, and some lawmakers feel, that it could be time to put these to bed and maybe focus on some other things like sports and entertainment and movies and gas prices and things of that nature. So that does make a ton of sense there. All right. So thanks again to Sam for coming on the show. We'll see him again Monday. I'm sure things will go a little smoother there. Okay. It's going smooth right now at Augusta for Rory McIlroy as he awaits to tee off here in the second round of the Masters. Let me give you the live leaderboard there. For those of you who are watching online or streaming us, I'm going to read off some stuff here to you. So let's see here. Second round leaderboard is currently Sam Burns and Rory McIlroy at the top. And the big mover today on the course has been Wyndham Clark. He is through 17 right now, and he is 4 under par. So that's the latest update from Augusta. Wyndham Clark has moved into second place, right now a tie for first with Burns and McIlroy. But Clark is going to go and make the cut and go into the weekend as one of the favorites to win the 2026 Masters. A absolutely huge day for him. Kurt Kitayama, right now, he is 3 under. He's currently on the course, so he is underway. Jason Day, Patty Reed, and Shane Lowry are also 2 under par. So is Xander Schauffele. Other players who have teed off and are having good days would be Tyrrell Hatton. He's currently 2 under par through 10, so he'll make the cut and move on. Chris Gotterup also 2 under par, and he will move on as well. And then we'll have another leaderboard coming for you a little bit later in the show as we close Newswire out here on this Friday. Meanwhile, in Major League Baseball yesterday, it was the blast heard in Denver as a big day for not Xander Schauffele, but Xander Bogaerts. He has a grand slam to win the game yesterday for the Padres. Here he was after the game with arguably one of his biggest hits as a Padre.
They walk Merrill, they walk Manny to get to you. What's going through your mind as you're walking to the plate?
You know what's funny is I kind of figured they might have done that. You know, once they walked Merrill, I'm like, they're not going to let Manny beat him. You know, I think it was my first hit with runners in scoring position, so they probably know that statistic. You know, so man, it was a nice swing. I mean, I don't know how many times I've hit that ball like that, so that was a good one.
Walk-off grand slam. What are your emotions as you're rounding the bases?
I mean, happiness. You know, you came through for your team. That great at bat by Campy, I think was huge. You know, with the 2 outs, I don't think he had an at bat that whole game. You know, so first pitch double down the line. I mean, it was good. You know, the bullpen, the pitching, they did great, but I think tonight is a special one for Campy also.
It was a low-scoring game. It was a back-and-forth game in extra innings. You trailed in the 10th. You trailed in the 11th. How was this offense able to stay in the fight and keep on extending the game?
Hey, they're playing good. You know, they have good arms. I mean, the kid that came in, pitched after the opener, he got a pretty good arm. The bullpen got a good arm. They're playing good baseball. You know, and nice way to start off the homestand. Looking forward to tomorrow. You know, big day for us with the new unis and stuff. So let's see how that goes.
Yankees could have used a grand slam yesterday. They didn't score a run. Here's Aaron Boone on the team not scoring the last couple games.
When you look at the last 17 innings for this offense, just 2 hits over that span, 20 strikeouts. Obviously, there's some pitching thrown in there, but just what do you think is happening with this offense, and were you okay with the approach this afternoon?
Yeah, I mean, look, we got shut down today. You know, the previous games where we've struggled scoring, I feel like we're getting the traffic. We're having quality at bats. Today was the day we got beat. You know, we didn't generate much. We didn't hit a lot of balls on the screws at all, and didn't create much traffic. So, you know, we'll get this thing going. We got a few guys obviously struggling to get on track a little bit, and hopefully get things going down inside.